This is harness racing, a sport as old as our nation, but as new as tomorrow, combining fast action and beautifully gaited horses into great racing entertainment, blending an American tradition into one of the fastest growing and most popular of world sports. Across North America, harness racing is now offered at big, spacious, and comfortable tracks, temples of sport, but also pillars of local economy. These tracks employ people, lots of them, pay taxes, lots of them, and form the hub of communities of their own. Each is home for hundreds of horses and for the people who train, drive, and look after them. Although the racing is at night, the long hours of work and training that lead up to it are a daytime activity, and mornings at a racetrack are a busy time in a crowded place. Harness horses usually race once a week, but between those races they train like the finely tuned athletes they are. Countless miles of jogging, limbering up as it were, which is done clockwise around the outside of the track. And then faster miles of training in the direction of actual races, counterclockwise on the inside half of the track. It is a traffic pattern and a routine adhered to on all North American tracks and on virtually all others in 45 countries around the world. When they are being prepared for a racing campaign, harness horses are trained in sets, usually of 3 or 4. Here are 3 pacers working together, and now they are joined by a trotter moving up on the outside, which leads to the most basic and natural of all harness racing questions. What is the difference between a trotter and a pacer? All harness horses are the same breed, standard breds, so named because they originally had to meet a standard of performance to qualify for registration. But they either trot or pace. Most follow their inheritance and either pace or trot as their parents did. A few can do both. They are called double-gaited horses and might race one season as pacers and the next as trotters. One thing that is not done in modern harness racing, however, is mixing of the gaits. Pacers race only pacers, and the same is true of trotters. Here is a pacer. To help keep his legs in synchronization at high speed, this one wears, as do the great majority of pacers, plastic or leather straps known as hobbles. Some pacers race without them and are called free-legged pacers. We'll see one later. Here's how the pacer looks in slow motion. That easy, liquid, reliable glide makes him 1 or 2 seconds faster than the trotter, and the sureness of the gait makes him very popular with racegoers. Now, here's a trotter. His gait is one of the most rhythmic and beautiful sights in all of sport. It is harder to train a trotter than a pacer. You have to first make sure the horse is perfectly balanced, and the fact that you have to be an expert to do that helps explain why pacers outnumber trotters 4 to 1. The grace and precision of the trotter is particularly impressive in slow motion. Now, let's compare the 2 gaits. The pacer is the top horse on your screen. Both legs on one side of his body move forward together. Then both legs on the opposite side of his body, while the trotter on the lower half of the screen moves his right front and left rear legs forward at the same time, then his left front and right rear legs in a diagonal gait. Now, let's take another look at the pacer in action. And once again, the trotter. And now, both together. From the front, the gait of the pacer conveys power, with the legs synchronized like pumping pistons in a swinging side-to-side motion. Watching this gait in slow motion makes it clear why pacers, in this case a three-legged pacer without hobbles, are sometimes called side-wheelers. The trotter, who drives straight ahead in a marching gait, beats a rhythmic 1-2-3-4 tattoo. Watch the coordinated movements of each leg and foot in passing the other, and you'll understand why it takes a skilled trainer to develop perfection of gait in the trotting horse. Again, a comparison of the two gaits that reveals the inherent beauty of each, but also the clear differences between the two. First, on the left, the pacer. Legs tilting away from the body, first in one direction, then in the opposite, as the set on the right swings forward, then the set on the left. Now the trotter. Watch the circular stroke of each front leg as it reaches forward, propelling the horse straight ahead, with the back legs providing pushing power as the hooves strike the ground. Now, in a view rarely seen in or out of the sport, a pacer in full stride from ground level. Here, the swinging rock of the pacer is shown in perfect detail. From the same vantage point, the trotter. And again, the precision of the trotting gait becomes apparent as each foot moves smoothly in a blend of beauty, grace, and power. Now a comparison of the two, with the pacer on the left. While we watch, we can understand why trotters and pacers wear boots to protect their legs from their own flying hooves. And also see clearly that these horses spend much of the time with all four hooves off the ground. And the trotter, outnumbered but not outdone in beauty or elegance, and still favorite of many purists in the sport, for reasons that are obvious as we watch this one in action. Workout's over, the harness horse, whether pacer or trotter, heads back to the stall that is his racetrack home. Some break out in a wash from the exertions of their work. Back in the stable area, he will be blanketed and rested. Then sent out for additional heats of training. When that routine is completed, he will be bathed and again blanketed, and will be cooled out in a walking ring until his respiration returns to normal, after which he will be returned to his stall once again. The rigors of the racetrack are hard on muscle and bone and flesh, and legs give way first. Because the pounding of the track aggravates this condition, some horses are trained in water, where their legs and wind are strengthened by swimming. The great majority use the racetrack for conditioning, but those that swim do so for many laps, building stamina and tightening legs without the constant hammering on the firm dirt tracks. Harness horses in North America start from behind a mobile starting gate, and they quickly learn that part of racing routine. The introduction of this gate on a widespread basis in 1946 revolutionized the sport and assured consistent, even starts. Early temerity behind the gate quickly gives way to complete familiarity, and the horse soon learns to move up to the gate with total assurance. Most will put their noses right against the metal grating and will follow the gate faithfully without any fear or hesitation, and charge out from behind it at full speed once the wings fold away from in front of them. Lessons learned, the first-time starter, or an erratic or unimpressive performer, gets experience and further conditioning in schooling or qualifying races. Actual contests that provide the same competition under precisely the same conditions as regular events, but without wagering. Horses that break stride are schooled until they are steadier. Green or inexperienced horses receive seasoning, and poor performers prove their worthiness to race again, but without the public's risk or support. There is never betting on these races. Tracks establish standards of performance, qualifying times, and the horses must meet those requirements before they are allowed to graduate to the main events, where the public can lend tangible support. These qualifiers and the county fairs serve as the proving grounds of harness racing, where future major leaguers are grounded in fundamentals. So are inexperienced drivers, many of them amateurs just getting started in the sport. Once qualified, our horses are ready for action under battle conditions. And you, now qualified as an instant expert on harness racing, are ready to trade that comfortable seat for a perch behind a spirited steed. Here's your whip. Hop up on that bike and get ready for the start. You're now in the driver's seat and about to see the race exactly as the driver does. The gate is rolling and the starter says, go. You're on your own. Other pacers leave faster than your horse and speed ahead. You don't want to get caught in an early speed duel on the outside, so you look for position along the rail where you can save ground. There isn't any, so you ease your horse into a trailing position on the outside from where you can make your move later. You enter the stretch for the first time, and now find room back along the rail and drop in. Up ahead, a horse makes a break, goes off stride. The driver has to take him to the outside, put him under restraint, and get him back pacing. If he does all that, he could come on to win again. Now up front, another horse is parked. Caught outside the leader, can't get by him, and must race outside going extra distance. You don't want to get caught behind a tired horse, so you ease out. On the backstretch once again, and gaining ground. The horse ahead pulls out for his drive. Another ranges up on the outside. But your horse is strong. You chirp to him and he responds, gaining more ground on the leaders. Now you round the final turn and head for home. And it's now or never. And you're moving up, driving on the leader. The horse inside of you moves out from the rail, forcing you 3 wide. And you charge to the wire, 4 abreast in a driving finish. This is harness racing. And these are the thrills that make it a great and growing sport around the world.